Hey, good day out there. This is Eric Johnson, the brand. Welcome to our podcast.
This is Coach Aaron, the source. Okay, today, guys, we're going to do kind of a little bit of a reboot. It's been a couple years since we've talked about this, and we're kind of just going full circle on some of these subjects. I know we have an extensive library now, about 150 podcast episodes, and we actually are coming on our anniversary. Like most anniversaries, I don't remember them. And EJ, my partner in podcast, had to remind me, somewhat like my wife does. And yeah, you mentioned that around this time, I was, you say March 19th or 17th of 2020 is when we did our first podcast.
Yeah, we did.
I guess it's not bad to circle around and circle back to some of these subjects. I know some of you guys don't dig as deep or as far back as when we started. So we're going to, again, circle back to a subject. This one we're calling camps, clinics, and showcases. We've done a couple of prior podcasts on this subject, two in particular. One was in 2020 called Navigating Exposure, Development, and Showcasing. And that's something you guys might want to go back to and listen to. And the other was in 2021, where we did what you should know about showcasing. And I know we've done a couple probably on camps as well. So to kind of maybe complete this subject, you may want to listen to those as well as today and get a full picture of where we're at. And maybe if we've missed some points, you can pick those other points up in the previous podcast. So we're going to keep this kind of broad because it's, again, three different arenas, and kind of just bring some of our thoughts back to the forefront. So, EJ, where do you want to start?
You know, it's good subject stuff's coming up again. I guess, you know, Aaron, and maybe why it's hit us again is because a lot of kids are starting baseball again. And the season's starting, that's what I'm really saying. And whether they go in state with a perfect game event, or if they go out of state with some sort of event, the organizers get a email address. And so players start to get all of these showcases from now to the end of the year 2023. And it just circles back to this subject about, you know, why should I go to a showcase? You know, what's the purpose of going to one? And what's a good age to go to one? With that said, we have a lot of athletes you and I share that come to us and ask us, do I need to go to this event? And what will it do for me? Does it help me with my college recruiting? And, you know, does it help me with my rankings? What does this all mean? So we come back to this subject again, Aaron. I think it's pretty prevalent because when we talked about these two, the subject before, you know, it's been some time, but, you know, people weren't listening to us in the beginning or in the middle, but they're listening to us now. So I think it's good to reboot this. And I think my thoughts on this, Aaron, are the timing's everything for to go to a showcase. One is if you're a young player, and when I say young, Aaron, we're talking 12, 13, 14. They start to get this stuff in the mail, not pre-high school stuff, okay? They're not even a freshman in high school. If they want to just go experience it and go do it, yeah, go to one. But don't go to a whole bunch of them. Just go to one, and it's local, it's close to, it's not going to be expensive. You're not going to have to go out of town, spend $1,000 on hotel room, another $700 on flights for you and your parent, and it's going to cost you $695. That's a lot of money, man. Why don't you just drive down to like a one that's close by, whether it's, you know, in the Bay Area or it's down south in LA, and drive down there and experience a one-day type showcase and see what that's like, and just to get the feel for it. Now that's, you know, 12, 13, 14, you know, you're in the 7th, 8th grade, around that age, and you want to experience what it feels like because you're curious. That's fine. That's easy. Is it going to get you anywhere? Not really. You just want to go experience it. So when we start talking about showcases for that seventh and eighth grader, that's fine. It's not going to get you anywhere. People talk about these rankings and stuff. Can I tell you this, Aaron? The rankings mean nothing to college coaches. I've talked to 100 college coaches. They're not looking at the rankings, what he's ranked at and stuff. That's not going to be in all when it gets to a scholarship. Okay, so parents out there, remember, you just want to go experience this thing, and that's why your kid wants to go. You're curious, or you want to see what this is about. That's fine. A one-shot Johnny time, go do it, Aaron. That's my thoughts on that initial thought about that young guy going to a showcase.
Yeah, I'm there with you on all of those points. For me, I kind of look at it from the practicality side of it. And the strategic side of it in terms of your overall planning for the development of your athlete. So what I mean by that is, okay, you've got a, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th grader. The key at that point should just be making it part of the baseball experience, not having any expectations or,
right,
that sort of thing. Because maybe your kid gets to 9th grade, does want to play baseball anymore. Well, he's had some other experiences with baseball outside of just playing the games and travel and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that is a value that they can look back at. 2, that experience also broadens their vision of maybe the number of athletes that are out there, the caliber of play. And, because we get a lot of big fish in little ponds in this area.
Right.
And parents and athletes don't realize the vast amount of talent that's in this country, let alone just California.
Right.
So I think that also can be an eye opener and a reality check as to, hey, if I really want this to happen, I need to get on this because now I'm seeing what these athletes are really like. And again, my first thing is step away from the ledge, parents. Don't get caught up about hearing, hey, my kid went to this showcase, and you're up in there in the stands and everyone's telling you about all these things they did. And then you just take this big leap without any forethought.
Right.
And so, like I said, for maybe the middle school kid, it's more about just the experience, broadening the experience.
Right.
But for the high school athlete, it's got to be more strategic, because obviously if you're going at the high school level, my impression is that it's because you're now getting serious about baseball and wanting to be recruited, be found, those
right.
sorts of things. And so my cardinal rule is never go unless you're ready to show. Okay. It's better to keep them thinking or keep them guessing than to confirm you're not what they want. And what I mean by that is, don't just arbitrarily go to a showcase and your skill set's not sound. Or if they're going to run a 60, your speed's not there, or your velocity is subpar. It's like all of this stuff gets put on the web because everyone wants the stats. And now you went there and you laid an egg in the 60, or your pop time is ridiculous.
Right.
And you've got to erase that, because what sticks up there on all of these sites is what represents you. There's not going to be an asterisk next to it that said, well, he had a sore hamstring, or, he had the stomach flu 2 days before, this is why the exit velocity was this. And no, right. Those are numbers you now have to erase. It's better to not go and not let, and put a bad performance out there that represents you. You want to go and put a good performance out there that represents you. So, that's just one, especially early on, that's just one strategic thing that I generally will talk to parents about. And 2, not everyone has money to burn.
Right.
And so how do these events and the cost of these events fit into the total budget of your athletes, season, development, whatever you're, saying for the year? So, you may want to sit down at the beginning and say, hey, we're going to go to 2 showcases this year.
Right.
They're going to be in maybe this location, that location. We're going to budget X amount of dollars for it. We're going to go, maybe we're going to go to one local where we can just drive to it. And then we're going to go to one out of state. And that brings me to my next point is picking the appropriate showcase or camp or clinic. And I think you really need to match your skill set with the type of schools that you want to be in front of, especially when you're in high school. Now, maybe you're in middle school, it's more aspirational. You know, your son's interested in UCLA. You know, obviously at 8th, 9th grade or 7th, 8th grade, you don't know what kind of athlete he's ultimately going to be, but it's a school that he, you know, is interested in. Well, maybe that's a good time to take them and go to that camp, see the campus. That's right. It may feed that desire and that aspiration to continue to play in college, that sort of thing. So I see the value in that.
Yes.
As you're a high schooler, and especially probably sophomore year on, and your skill set really starts to become apparent and maybe where your trajectory is, of where you're going to end up, you know, NAIA, D1, D2, then those are the schools you probably want to go get in front of. Those are the camps and clinics you want to participate in, because then you can get on campus, meet the current staff, get a feel for the environment there. And it's kind of a soft way for you to test the waters and say, hey, you know what? Would this program be a fit for me? So, you know, it becomes a lot more, like I said, strategic as you get older. Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's the approach that I would take. And, you know, from a budgetary standpoint, positioning standpoint, matchmaking standpoint, and again, just kind of doing that early recon on some of these programs to say, hey, yeah, this is one I want to continue to pursue, or nah, I didn't really, you know, I get a feel for that program.
Yeah. Aaron, I like what you say about the high school athlete and knowing where they're at, about laying an egg, going out there when you're not ready, being prepared. All of those are great, valid points out there to all our listeners. Especially freshmen are excited to get to these, you know, this is their opportunity. I'm in high school, I can get recruited now, and they get excited and they just like, I'm going to go here. And, you know, I always like to say this way, Aaron, there is your dream list. Yeah. And then there's your reality list. Yeah. And a lot of them go for the reality list right away. Their dream list right away, because that's what looks attractive to them. That's what they've dreamed about. That's fine. They can have that list, but there is a thing called reality, and they need to have that. And I like your timeline. When you said sophomore year, you start to understand, you start to get your skills start to develop, you start to see your trajectory. That's when that reality thing really starts to set in. Now, I will say this. You're a freshman and you want to go to a showcase or a camp. It's not bad to go to a camp for that college, you know, and just go to a camp and not worry about this is your showcase. You're just going there for the camp. That's fine. Yeah. But when you use that word showcase, that's when these numbers start getting thrown out, like you said, you know, like, hey, prospect showcase at a college, or here's a showcase and these schools are coming. Now those digital things start to get put up on the board, and you have to be, like you said, prepared. But I think the sophomore year is a good time to do it. And I think you need to be wise about your choices that you're going to make. And I tell all the players out there and the parents that are listening, be wise about your selections. I'd rather be understated than overstated. Right. That I think that's kind of like, you know, you don't know and you hear from other parents who think they know. I'd rather be understated and do really well and say, okay, I did well here. Let me go to the next step. Right. You know, then I'll go to my second showcase because I'm ready to advance. But if you're not, then don't keep going to them. Just be smart. Don't go to 3 or 4 a year, Go to the ones that you feel that can help you. And your sophomore year, I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't be going to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 of them or 3 or 4. You should just 1 or 2 is enough. There's going to be plenty of time. The recruitable period, fall and summer for colleges, okay? So understand that some of these prospect camps happen in the winter time and they don't happen in the summer. By the way, they may happen maybe late August. Beginning of August. Coaches out recruiting, they don't have time to run a prospect camp or showcase. They don't during the summer. What they do is they have team camps, and they might be there for your team that's coming there, but they're not running a prospect camp during the middle of the recruiting period or in the fall. They're probably running a late fall prospect camp or a late summer showcase because that's when they're available, Aaron. And I think the general public needs to understand that during the fall and during the summer, these coaches are out recruiting. The people, the decision makers that can say something like, hey, we're recruiting you, man, they're out looking at players. They don't have time to stay around campus and hope players come to them. Those guys are out there playing baseball and they're out running and chasing them.
And that, you know what, that's a good point like I said, I've used this word a lot now, is the strategic standpoint is get in sync with the recruiters' schedules.
Right.
You want to be in front of the people who can make the decision. So no, that makes a lot of sense to me. Another thing I was thinking about is repeatedly going to the same showcase year after year. And I think that can be a strategy and be valuable if you're going to a school or a camp or a clinic or a showcase, and it's an institution or a program that you're interested in, go with the intent of establishing that relationship year over year, but also being able to showcase your development and improvement year to year to year. Don't go to, again, I'll just say the UCLA showcase or camp one year and show the coaches that you're throwing 79 miles an hour, and then go the next year and show the coaches that you're throwing 79 miles an hour. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
For you, you might be a great guy, you might have great conversation, but they're going to be like, well, this kid threw, what did he throw last year? 79. What did he throw this year? 79. Okay.
Right.
Nice kid, but kid's off the list.
Yeah, Aaron, I see this all the time. It happens. I'm like, okay, you went to this showcase last fall and you're throwing 79. Now you want to go to that camp or showcase in the summer, a little bit later after your season's over, and you're still throwing 79. Why are you going? Like I don't get that. And understanding when you should go, and it's all right to take a timeout, Aaron, from this. Say like your sophomore year in the fall, you're throwing 79, okay? And then you get to the summer and you're only throwing 80, 81. Okay, say you're throwing 81. Don't go there in the fall. Wait, hey, take 6 months away from the summer and see if you start gaining velocity. Are you making the jumps you should be velocity-wise? Is your pitchability getting better? Are you having better command of your secondary pitches? Then go forward. It's going to be more attractive for that recruiter or those people who are at the showcases. And you do need to take a step back if you're not progressing as fast as you can. Now that could go to your training. That could go to, I need to make this adjustment mechanically from a baseball standpoint. but you need to people are afraid to take a step backward, Aaron. And I think that's another thing we can talk about today is like, it's all right to take a step backward away from a showcase or a prospect camp for a little bit. And it could be 6 to 12 months. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just so easy, I think, in this sport to have a herd mentality, and you get caught up in the hype or get caught up in, hey, everyone is doing this. Again, we always talk about, FOMO, fear of missing out. And I've just seen, over these 30 years I've been doing this, the people who keep a clear head, follow their own path, they're the ones who always end up in the best spots. They end up with the choices or that they've been looking for. They don't have to compromise, and they're a lot happier with their ultimate destination, I think, than those who kind of use the shotgun approach.
Unfortunately, in this day and age of social media, Aaron, people want to post everything that they're doing, and they don't understand what numbers are. Like, hey, I'm 85 to 87. Can I tell you, 85 to 87 is like, that's just very average, and they think that that's really great, and they're posting these numbers, and then they whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, they at USC, at TCU, they hit the coach recruit, and the recruiters are like going, that's everybody. That's just everybody. That's no big deal. So understand that too, as you go to these showcases and you want to post your numbers on social media. I mean, why do you want to post them on social media? I mean, I ask people that all the time about the showcase, because once it's out there, and you said it earlier, it stays out there, so, parents, players out there, be smart about this camp, clinics, and showcase thing. Understand what you're doing. And as Aaron, as we both say, have management in what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have anything more to say on it.
Yes.
If you want to hear us talk more about it, there's 2 previous podcasts. We probably just said what we said in 2020 and 2021. And I guess when we do this again in 2025,
we'll be talking about the same thing.
I'll do the same thing. So.
Well, great listening. Great listening today, Aaron. And I just want to say, people continue to listen to us, and we'll bring out that great knowledge that we do have. We've been, 30 years of experience in this, Aaron, but that's what we've been doing. But like we said, listen, ask us questions. Please click us, send us a question. We'll hit you on the podcast about anything. So with that said, Aaron, that kind of wraps us up today. This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
And Coach Aaron Thigpen, the source. Happy anniversary, EJ.
Happy anniversary, Aaron.